Today we're talking about something a bit different, which is cloud accounting, an area of specialism for you. And I think it would just be great to talk through some of the key factors for people who are thinking about cloud accounting for the first time. But also, I think you're seeing quite a lot of people that have been using various systems for a while and are looking to convert across, and some of the do's and don'ts around conversion. So I think the way I'd quite like to structure it is to sort of talk through a number of questions, get your views and expertise on things, and sort of see where the conversation takes us. So I think we'll start off with the basic point, which is, what is cloud accounting for somebody that may not have heard of this term? What does it actually mean?
I mean, yeah, it's fairly misleading, isn't it? I think everything's cloud-based now. So I think we're getting to the point now where it's not really explaining cloud accounting, it's explaining actually what's a desktop product. It seems like that's where the conversation has shifted. I first started using cloud accounting 13 and a half years ago. So this isn't new. It's new to people, and I think it's driven a lot by, obviously, MTD for income taxes making a big push on this again. Even though, again, there's a lot of people who aren't aware of all those impacts on that. But essentially, it is just a software package for your accounting, which is held online. So it's just accessible anywhere, so it'd be via app or internet-based.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, obviously, with that comes a lot more changes. So things like bank feeds, so integrating the bank accounts together. So what you do is you, again, have this sort of simple platform, something like Xero or QuickBooks, which, again, a lot of people are more familiar with now. It's all over the TV, all over your social media. That's kind of that fundamental bit. It's an accounting package like that. And then what we say is within these layers, where we then have all the extra add-ins, which, again, are getting a lot of traction. You'll start seeing a lot more adverts for sort of building on that fundamental basis.
Yeah. So put simply, for those that might have been in business a while, years ago, you would install Sage or whatever it was at the time, stick a disk in your computer, it would download software onto your hard drive, and you would have user access, however many licenses you bought, in order to log into that and use that. These days, you access it directly via either a website or via an app. And the software and all the updates automatically occur, and it's all done sort of off-site. So I guess backups are automatically covered in that regard with regard to data.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So again, and it comes with pros and cons. Obviously, it wasn't very long ago that some of the accounting software was held on AWS, or the Amazon Web Services, and that went down. By no fault of their own, but for Amazon Web Services, and actually people can access the data for a few hours. So, which again can sort of throw people off a bit, but it's far and few between. And what we have seen, and you'll have definitely seen this, is backups being corrupted or something going wrong on desktop products. And you are actually more out of luck if that happens than you are if something happens on the net platform.
Indeed. So who is cloud accounting for, would you say?
Everyone now. There is, everyone knows this, there's about 1 million apps out there that you can download for anything. Prime example is I went shopping on Sunday and I downloaded a shopping list app just because I needed something to tick off. But, it is for everyone. The same that there's apps for everyone. So cloud accounting isn't specifically for big businesses, small businesses, sole traders. It's for absolutely anyone who needs a more intelligent tool to manage their finances.
Fantastic. And is it expensive?
It can be. Absolutely, it can be. Most of the ones that you need, so if you're sort of an SME, so if you're a small to medium-sized business, you can get away with a pretty standard package. So on average, I think that comes around sort of like the sort of mid-30s to 40s mark that you'll get most of what you need on it. You can get the lower end so if you're a sole trader, for example, there's a Xero MTD Simple, which is only £7 a month, which again is the same product, but it's just limited in how much you can put on there, which suits most. And then you've got the sort of the larger scale businesses, where if you're, again, because cloud accounting isn't just with Xero and QuickBooks and Free Agent, no sort of products. It can be high end ERP systems, so they will be far more robust. You're talking sort of the more beefed up Sage 200, so comes with everything, and you could be talking thousands to tens of thousands of pounds per year. So there's a real variation, but yeah, publicly available ones tend to be around that sort of 30 to 40 mark.
Okay, fantastic. And you mentioned MTD earlier, making tax digital for income tax. Obviously, a few years ago, we saw MTD for VAT. So my next question is, does cloud accounting assist business owners with filing various taxes? I assume the answer is yes. And is MTD the main angle there?
Yeah, of course. Well, when it comes to compliance, you've got to kind of put that I know it might be your main drive to move onto software because you feel you're being forced to, which a lot of people are, sort of the smaller businesses are being forced onto it. But it's about taking that as an advantage, because actually the compliance side of things, you're talking about 2 or 3 clicks to file a return. It's not difficult. The bit advantage you get is all that the added extras. So it's like I mentioned earlier, like the bank feed. So having your bank automatically import in, having data capture, so taking pictures of your invoices, e-invoicing. So there's a real big thing about e-invoicing at the moment. It's actually automatically just even having invoices go straight out of one person's accounting software straight into someone else's. So not even like that bridging of it's on an email, drag it in, enter it yourself. It's just going straight in there, and that's something that's quite new that's coming through. And again, other things, especially for smaller businesses, having that tap to pay. So literally producing an invoice on your phone, having someone tap the back of your phone with theirs and paying you for you on the spot. So if you're not using those sort of tools, those advantages, then I think you really are a disadvantage to most, I would say.
Yeah, the cash flow advantage to that kind of thing it feels significant to get paid straight away. Lots of people, small businesses, leave an invoice and it may be weeks and months to chase that and get that in. So that feels like a real win. So I guess, Nathan, what you're saying is that I think a lot of people got into using cloud accounting for the first time because of a compliance requirement, because HMRC brought in MTD, and that was the reason for taking on that software. But ultimately, I think you're seeing a lot of people customize their accounting package using Xero as the engine, so to speak, and customizing it with bolt-on apps that really suit what's important to their business and where they're spending their money. Would you mind just sort of talking us through the customization of Xero and these bolt-in apps and the marketplace in general, what that means for a standard business owner? Yeah,
of course. I mean, most people will be familiar with Marketplace, Apple Marketplace from their phone. Exactly the same when it comes to accountancy. So it's not just you've got these simple platforms, you've then got things that bolt into it and grow out. So Xero has an app marketplace with what they have as their advertised suppliers, but actually that's just a fraction of what's available out there. It's a massive market, and there's something for everyone. So you can build your own, or you can go and find one off the shelf. And what we're seeing now is a lot of people did bolt on Xero, like you say, for VAT, for MTD, which was, I know no longer that was now 5-6 years. And there was a big push to get onto Xero, and it was like, right, we're on it now. We'll just tick along. So you sort of tell them what to do, and they sort of fed it on. But actually, some people have really utilised that to go, actually, well, what more can I add into it? So the way I describe it is this sort of central core. So you've got your very, very fundamental bit, which is your Xero, your QuickBooks, your free agent, Sage, whatever it might be. And you've got a lot of really good tools in there that can use. So for example, Xero has obviously the bank feeds has an automatic bank feed, has an automatic bank reconciliation. So again, early days, AI is a buzzword, but it does use AI technology to auto map some of the things. So based on your habits, based on where things should go, and you kind of just give it a review process. So immediately, instead of having to go through that process of filling out the 3 boxes or manually doing it, you're relying on a system and then just checking all the work of what it's done. So that's a really good tool to use straight off the bat. Then we kind of go outside of that realm, and we're looking at what I consider like your core apps that you need to have that bolted on, and that tends to be starting with data capture. So there's Dext, which has been around for a very long time. Used to be called Receipt Bank. I've used it for 13 odd years now. Again, that's really built out, really robust. We get clients on it ourselves. So if we do clients bookkeeping, we'll get them using Dext, and we'll have them submit the information to us that way, because otherwise what you're doing, and a lot of people are doing at the moment, and you still see it now, and it's very frustrating because you can see people manually entering data. And Xero's not built for manually entering data, so you're going to waste a lot of time. So if you use something like data capture, when it reads, the date, the bill, the supplier names, the net, the VAT, everything, you're not missing out on VAT reclaims, which a lot of people do. But it's just automating a lot of that stuff. So you can take hours away from someone's day. If you've got an in-house team that does manual data entry, you can really scale down what they're doing. So using things like Dext, or again, Xero's are built in their Hubdoc in there as well, which we can use, or like say there's Apron, there's Briefcases, there's loads of ones out there. So it's just finding what works best for clients, and that ecosystem is really changing. There's more and more every day. So definitely start with your data capture. And then you've kind of got that bills bit, so actually paying your bills. So using something like Xero Bills, so just paying it straight out of Xero with your details, put the financial details in and pay them straight from there. Very, very minor charges. Or looking at something like Teleroo. So we use Teleroo. I do have quite a few clients who use it, and it's an integration with Xero, where you basically create your payment runs from within Xero via a approval process, and you pay them all as one instant payment.
Okay.
So it's, again, a lot cleaner and crisper. There's other things out there that will do the same job, but it's just one that we have found, and we've sort of looked into a lot of detail. And once you've got that core bit sorted out, it's then moving on and looking at that second piece. So it's then like reporting. So is it cash flow forecasting? Is it advanced KPIs? It's kind of looking at actually what can it then do beyond that, or it might be integrations into other tools. So it might be that it's not just Xero on its own. It's then actually, do you need a stock control system? So something like Unleashed, where it will do like warehouse management, stock control, part fulfillment. You can do all that. And the client will find that that's their main front-end system that they use, not Xero. Actually, Xero is not very important to them because actually their most important bit is how they manage their stock, how they run their internal processes. So that's done through Unleashed. And in the background, you've then got Xero just pulling everything in.
Yeah.
So instead of doubling up, which a lot of people have done, they've got their own systems, they've built their own systems. And they have to then either manually import it themselves or they have to enter the data again. So duplication just feeds in nice and easily through their open API that Xero has available. And it all just gets fed in and it's just then a few tweaks. So just sort of tidying up the bank. And then you've got all your compliance stuff sat there. So for me, compliance is the least important bit of a product. I know it might be the main driver for some people, but it's the very, very least important bit. It's that actually, can you make your whole business run smoother, smarter, and better for your clients?
So in recent years, has your role become less about moving people onto cloud accounting for the first time and more about helping people optimize and improve their actual systems? Because it sounds to me, Nathan, like the Xero marketplace and the QuickBooks equivalent, and I know there's a lot of overlap there, is vast. And you look at, well, actually, I need something to handle stock, and you type stock control into that marketplace, and there's numerous options. So your expertise feels important for a client to say to you, well, actually, these are the problems I've got, these are the issues, what best suits my circumstances? Are you doing a lot of work in those areas?
Yeah, there's definitely been a massive uptake in that. And I would say over the past sort of 4 or 5 months, I've really seen that. So there's been some more, people with more complex requirements. And that job wasn't as easy as it was a few years ago because it was just, okay, you need stock, go to this person, this is the best one. But now there's so many. And then what we have to do is we have to try and look at those into them, verify what will it do what the client wants, and it's not just as simple as just bolting on the one that we know. It's going out there and doing that fact finding, which if you can speak, we get all the time. You get them on LinkedIn and all the rest of it. You get salespeople. We get a constant stream of new providers wanting to connect with us and open up accounts with them and all the rest of it. But the problem is because it's so easy to start a new product, they can go straight to market with their earliest version and it might not do anywhere near what you need it to do. And if you get the wrong salesperson, they'll convince you on it. You'll jump on board and actually you've lost faith in that process because it doesn't work. You've got to turn it off. You've got to go back to where you were. So you think, I'm never doing that again. So planning is really, really important. And the biggest bit I find actually where I spend most of my time is change management. So it's not just people going, okay, well, I do this at the moment and I want to do that on Xero or on my new stock system. It's actually going, well, okay, well, why do you do it this way? Well, because we've got Deborah in accounts who's been here for 20 years and she likes it that way. Okay, well, that doesn't really work that way because that's really laborious. It takes far too long and it's wasting too much time and it's your main problem. So who's approving these? It's asking the questions, who's approving these things? What kind of audit trail have you got? What does that process look like? And it's remapping that and going, okay, well, if we use this software, then we can scrap 80% of what you're doing here, streamline it, and go down this route. So actually, a lot of the time, it's not just going, let me just go and find if this ticks all the boxes for you. It's asking the questions first, fact-finding, running through this list of questions, understanding the actually change is difficult for some people. So especially internally, especially with people who've been doing jobs for a very long time, especially like, this, when we've moved a lot of people over from Sage, most of our conversions have been people from Sage Line 50 onto cloud. They were, 10 years ago, I must have done several hundred just myself. But that's the biggest change because it's so different. Sage is so different to how Xero works because it's more with the business person in mind, where Sage has always historically been accountant jargon. So they can't get their head around it because if they've gone, well, this is how I fudge it through. We haven't got to fudge it no more. Do it this way. But like I said earlier, if you get someone who comes in and says, well, I don't want to use any of these add-ons. I just wanted to use Xero. I'm not going to use data capture. I'm going to type everything manually. You aren't going to see any time saving. It's not going to work. You've got to really embrace the change if you want it to work.
And actually, I think the message that we've been consistent with over the years is that there's quite a lot of time and money to be saved. And I know we're sort of talking ourselves as the accountancy profession out of work, but the attitude I always take with it is that, if you're spending that much on your accountants, wouldn't it be better to spend it saving tax, talking strategy, planning your capital expenditure, those types of things that really make a difference, rather than paying your accountant to input invoices and do the things that really the technology should be covering these days. There's very few businesses, it feels like, that it makes sense to pay an accountant or even a bookkeeper for manual entry, bank reconciliations, that kind of thing. The world's really moved on, hasn't it? In our time, I know you're younger than me, Nathan, but in our time working in accountancy, you look at where things have come. It's incredible where we've ended up, and I think so many businesses need to appreciate that they should be spending their money more smartly with their accountants.
Well, definitely, and and this might come as a shock to some people. We don't like that side of things. We don't like data entry and bank reconciliations and that sort of thing. Yes, you always get, if you can get a complicated bank to work, yeah, it feels great.
Yeah.
But it's not where we put importance on, and the shift has really happened over the past, let's say sort of around COVID time, actually, that big shift change from most of our work was, 80% compliance, 20% business advice. That's kind of what a client wanted from us. Now it's the opposite way. Now they want minimal compliance. They want to do as little possible, get the accounts together, and then sit down and actually talk about what is the next steps of their business. How do they navigate this, this difficult economy? How do they navigate the political landscape? What do they do with their businesses? How do they look at protection, risk? So that's where more of our time is spent. And that's the stuff we all, as you know, we really enjoy doing, is connecting with other people, talking to them, helping them along with that journey and growing their businesses. No one's going to put a lot of importance on compliance. So we've got to automate as much as we possibly can so we can spend more time having those conversations and adding that value.
Yeah, agreed. So just sort of stripping it back to almost where we began, final couple of questions. You mentioned a few different brands of cloud accounting sort of software and products out there. Are there any that you favour that suit certain types of businesses, or does each individual business kind of need a custom-made approach?
I think it depends on your size, really, because if you talk about custom-made, that's where we get into these big ERP systems. They are really, really robust. They've got everything you could possibly need in them, and they work in a very controlled way. So you use their product for everything, basically. And that's why people get tripped over. They think, well, we need this. We're going to have to go to this platform where our invoices are too much, and they then move to that massive system paying tens of thousands of pounds when they could be on Xero with a couple of add-ons and paying a fraction of what they could be paying. So that custom bit, again, you can build a customized process, but just by building different things in. Might be 2 or 3 things, but it will still get you where you need to be. When it comes to the very standard, just actually, if you want to go and pick up a software, so let's just say you are a local business, you've used spreadsheets, you go, well, actually, I want to switch over. Then you would typically I think people run to QuickBooks more for initially if they don't speak to their accountant, because it's out there more. There's a lot more TV advertisement about it, and it kind of gives that. It shows you all the functionalities and bells and whistles it's got. Personal preference, I'm more of a Xero, always have been Xero. I find it just a lot more easy to use, the open API, the marketplace. We've got a good relationship with them as well. So if we have problems, if we have things we want to help clients with, they're a lot more engaged with us. And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with QuickBooks. People using it, they might be loving it. But we are finding that actually we do typically, when people join us, we do typically find that we're moving them from QuickBooks to Xero. And part of that is because if you go and pick up one of these, the missell on a lot of this stuff is you can just pick it up and run with it. So you get a software and you just run with it, and it doesn't work. The bank doesn't work. Your invoice is in the wrong place. You've coded everything in the wrong place. And we spend a lot of time fixing it at the client's detriment, because actually they had a picture of what they thought the business was doing, and it was completely different now. So they don't have that training. And that's why when they come on board, you come on board with us, we obviously show Xero, but we do all the training. We get them how to use it properly. And, we have about 1,400, 1,500 clients which are on Xero. So it's not a small number. And we just find that, if you've got all that sort of client in one place, you can do a lot more with sort of synergies. If you know something works for one, you can recommend it to somebody else.
Yeah. And my final question, you've probably covered that, I think, Nathan, which was sort of how does somebody get started on cloud accounting? And I guess the answer is that there is quite a lot of resource on these websites, lots of videos and even training tutorials where people can get started on their own. But we see lots of people just don't quite set it up in the right way, or don't quite choose the right product mix. So I think an informal chat with us, which I know we're both happy to do, free of charge initially, just to talk about needs and requirements, I would say is always the way to go, just to sort of sense check your thinking more than anything.
Well, that's exactly it, because, if you're driving down the road and you know something's wrong with your car, you don't go to the shop and buy a book about your car and try it yourself. It doesn't work. So you might be able to, do something very temporary and fix it, but there's still a problem. And we find that's exactly the same when it comes to accounts. Someone will just pick up a software and go, well, this is quite self-explanatory. And actually they're wasting a load of time because they are manually entering everything, or they're putting things in the wrong place, or actually their accountant is spending a lot of time fixing their mistakes, which can increase their costs no end. So yes, I'd say definitely it's always worth just having a chat first, because it might actually be that actually there is it's not Xero might not be right, it might be something else. Or it might be that you need Xero and a lot more on top of it, depending on the scale of your business, or just a few little sort of tips and tricks. We used to run the tips and tricks events for Xero, which were always really well attended, and everyone always came away just learning one or two things, with they're kind of just hidden features that they don't know about, because obviously, like you say, you've got the help desk, but the help desk is massive, and if you don't ask the right question, you won't go to the right place.
Yeah, agreed. I think sort of to summarise, I would say that generally speaking, there are very few businesses that wouldn't benefit from moving across to cloud accounting and using some kind of computerized system. There's lots of time and money to be saved. Any business shouldn't really be spending too much money on data input processing, bank reconciliations, because the technology is out there and is absolutely fit for purpose. So save your money on that, spend your money getting good advice and moving your business forward. And that's where we're both, and our teams are here to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Looking forward to the next session. But for now, thanks everyone for tuning in, and join us next time.